Welcome back. You're watching Daybreak, and thanks for staying with us. The hashtag on X is Citizen Daybreak. The SMS code is 22422 at Citizen TV Kenya and at Ayub Abdikadir. Christopher Mureithi is leadership consultant. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for your time. Much appreciated. Next to him is Angel Mbudia, the chairperson of the Jubilee Party Youth League. Good morning.
Good morning.
Much appreciated. Timothy Turunga is the president, the Youths for Pwani from the county of Lamu. Good morning.
Good morning.
Elijah Sawe is a youth leader, also joins us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Victor Kiprono is the CEO of Zero Barefoot Campaign. Good morning.
Good morning.
And Ken Babu is the national youth leader of the Democratic Action Party of Kenya. Thank you so much for your time, lady and gentlemen. First, beginning with you, the only lady on the panel. Yesterday, we saw the launch of the DCP party by the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. Where is the voice of young Kenyans and all these political arithmetics ahead of the polls?
First of all, I'd like to say that, the highlight of the launch yesterday was about angry goons who went in to disrupt the unveiling of the party of the former Deputy President. And I don't know why the media reported and said that they were youth who went in to disrupt the party, because I don't know how we established that they were already youth, because now we are tainting the image of the young people, because they were just the goons, they were thugs, and they should have been labeled as that. But what I'd also like to say is that the state is using its machinery to bring down and weaken the political party systems in Kenya. That is just one way of trying to weaken a party that looks like a threat in future. And that has been done also to Jubilee Party. I have been a witness. On the day before yesterday, we had a youth engagement in Naivasha. And our meeting was stopped by security officials in Naivasha because they indicated that there were other things that were going on in Naivasha, that the Deputy President was visiting, and so we could not have our engagement. Our meeting was set to take place in a different place. We are the ones who are catering for the venue. We were the ones who had invited young people, but they expressly denied us the freedom to assemble. And the other thing that also happened yesterday, in Jubilee Party, we were supposed to have our ruling made yesterday. But the judge said that he has lost the file for Jubilee Party. And now you can see what the state is trying to do to political parties' affairs in Kenya. He is already threatened. I think he is sweating profusely when we say one term, but it is indeed one term, because why are we not allowed to have our own political party engagements? Because when the Deputy President stands and says that tutengeneze chama lakini sio isikuwe ya kabila moja, isikuwe ya dini moja, this is my political party. I will decide what I will say in my political party. It is within my freedoms of expression. If I call my party a hustler party, nobody stops me from calling it that. If I wanted to call it a youth party, ya wamama, ya nini, that is the freedom of expression. So I see, even before we even go to the engagements of the youth, the platform itself is very shaky. Okay. I can sense that Mr. Ruto is very scared about what the future holds for him. But as the English say, as you make your bed, so you must lie on it. Mr. Ruto must be ready to lie on the bed that he made. Okay,
and Elijah, coming to you, what do you make of the cropping up culture of goonism and destruction and violence, which appears to be underpinning our political party systems, and the launch of the party yesterday? Where is the voice of young Kenyans? Where is your voice?
First, Ayub, I want to thank you for the opportunity to come here. Secondly, I think we are reducing this conversation to be very simple, making it very simplistic. Is it one term? Is it two terms? Are youths goons? Are youths not? But I think there is a much bigger problem that we must face. The biggest problem that we have today is that I think it just sounds good to just say, goons are youths and youths are rowdy. But the reality of the matter is that, for instance, when you talk about DCP, the party leader and the deputy party leader that were unveiled yesterday are very experienced, astute playwrights that we know. And we've been in this game. We know very well that all sorts of manner of things can be done to attract attention and make sure that the launch of the party trends, and we know that there is a DCP that was launched. But the reality is that I don't see any solution that they bring to the youths, and I don't see why youths would go there and be rowdy in any way. What I saw yesterday, for me, I think as a youth, reminds me of what we need to do as youths. And I think what I want to encourage the young people is that let us not just be people who are willing to just look at a flat tire and say the tire is flat. That is something that anyone and everyone can see. But what is the problem? The problem is that we need to create jobs for the youths. And is the president doing that? Is the current administration doing that? Is the alternative administration that is coming gonna do that? Are they providing any solutions to that, or are they just saying one term, two term? Yeah. So where I sit is that as young people, we really need to stop the idea of just raising, following trends and talking about things, trending, saying one term, two term. But let us ask ourselves, if indeed today we don't have jobs, yes, what is the problem of that job, losses of job opportunity? Today as we talk, we are talking about over 631,000 people enrolled in public universities. 10 years ago, the people enrolled in public universities were half that number. But have we had leadership that provides solutions? If you talk about the current administration, we've seen the programs that are coming up that are actually geared towards creating opportunities, opening up export markets, and young people are going into farming and they are creating jobs, doing these programs that you're talking about, housing. The savings today, we are saving 400 billion. We can actually be able to roll that back to our economy. 10 years ago, we were doing about 140 billion in NSSF savings. Okay. So what I want us to talk about as young people, instead of just saying one term, two term, let us look at all the options on the table and say, what solutions are they bringing? Okay. And what indeed should we be talking about? Let's give solutions.
Okay. Christopher, what's your account of what happened yesterday, and what value do you think DCP will add to the country's political discourse?
I think the generation before us really fought for a multi-party democracy. And democracy defined is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And as you are seeing now, the government we currently have, the regime, is against the people. That's why whenever you try to launch a party, which is part of our constitutional right, then you will find goons who disrupt. And it's so telling that at the end of the events, not even a single policeman showed up to try and find out what was happening, which tells you this is a state-manufactured chaos. And we are telling our president, and for the sake of our youth, our fellow youth, you see, one of the things about getting what we want is knowing what we do not want. And for right now, we know we do not want the current regime. I am an ardent football follower and a fan of the English Premier League, and I have often observed that when a team is performing dismally and it's not producing results, they don't change the players. They fire the coach. It starts with the management. So if we are talking about progressing this nation, we must cut the head of the hydra. We must change the top leadership of this nation. And the launch of the party was pretty peaceful. And we were very delighted to have the new kid on the block that will make this one-term journey a reality. It's already on its way. So even as youths, it is very difficult to support a government that when you speak out about issues that you need addressed, they turn their guns on you. When we demonstrated on the 25th of June last year, the government turned the military against its people. This is not a government for the people, and that's why we are saying they must go. And our slogan as DCP is Skiza our Kenya. As you rightly introduced me as a leadership consultant, but I'm also the acting member of parliament for the great constituency of Ndia. Because having elected representatives, but upon getting to parliament, they derelicted on their duty, and now we have to fight for the nation ourselves, because we are on our own.
And Ken Babu, being the representative of the youth voices within the Democratic Action Party of Kenya, how many of such young people like you are within the gallery of political parties and whose voices are listened to with close attention, which is deserving of them, given your relevance in the Kenyan demography?
Thank you so much, Ayub. First, let me put it clear that when it comes to youth representation in our parties as it stands today, it's a challenge that we're still grappling with, and many young people are still trying to fight for that space to ensure that their voices are echoed and are taken seriously. It's a challenge that we all agree that most political parties are grappling with. And going forward, we are urging the leaders and the party leaders to make it a priority, that it is not just about the youth leaders. The party structure should have an inclusion of young people, even not necessarily sitting as the youth chairman or the youth chairperson. That is it. The neck of any political party can accommodate up to around 50 or 100, depending on how structured it is. So then what we can do as a political parties is to open up space for young people to get into those positions and give them a platform for them to communicate. But on the issue of one term, my brother has mentioned clearly that we should not just talk about one term and look at the issues. I think we need also to look at how did we arrive at one term. Mm-hmm. Because we didn't just wake up and start saying one term, one term. In fact, I can tell you that when President William Ruto was an MP in the 90s, nobody had issues with him countrywide. In fact, if there's anybody who had issues with him, was people from Eldoret North, where he was serving. But today is a national disaster. Is a national problem. Because any decision he makes does not affect only people from where he comes. Affects the entire nation. So this is how one term came. If you look at the streets today, we have about millions of young people who cannot secure employment. They are unemployed. These people do not know if they are going to have meals. These people are not sure whether they can take their sons and daughters or relatives to hospital and get medication. These people are struggling with even operating a small business because of high taxations. These are people who are so frustrated, who are so destroyed and traumatized. And then you want them to sit down and just give praises and worship you as you walk around the country, launching bed-sitters in the name of affordable housing, which are not even priorities. We cannot say that we are going to sit down and watch a president walking around doing things which are not priority to Kenyans, and then we say, oh, we cannot talk about one term. Oh, this. Let me tell you, Ayub, the president has got about 50 advisors, more than enough, eh?
Not 50, though.
But it's a good number.
The number
advisors.
50, yeah.
The same president has a cabinet which ought to be giving him guidance on what the people on the ground are looking for. The same president has taken over parliament, where we have the representations. Then what we are asking is, why can't he be able to sort out the issue of unemployment? Because these are issues that reaches his desk every day. Health. We've been crying about SHA from the onset. What happened with NHIF and what were the challenges? Were they not able to address the challenges and make it work? We are talking about security. We are in a state where if I mention anything about the government today, unfortunately, I'm likely to disappear. The president recently said that all the abductees were released. Yet you have the family of Brown Odhiambo in Nakuru still asking questions. Where's their son? Get that? The same president initially said that they did not have any idea of what's happening about the abductions. What he said recently is a confirmation that the government has a hand on the disappearance. And I want to tell my colleagues here, these are young people. When young people are coming out to ask questions to this government, it doesn't matter whether you are inside or not. Okay. A day will come and you will be outside. Okay. And when you get outside, you will want us, people who have been outside, to agitate for you. Okay. So as I finish on that, we have serious issues with corruption. Okay. We are doing budgeted corruption, and the president is aware, and he must be called out.
We'll come to that, because of all the issues you have mentioned, Parliament is a critical component and player. It's where we vested all the power, including that of impeaching the president. So we'll talk about the quality of the leadership that we need. Victor, coming to you, what do you make of all that is happening, given the party after party and what we had seen with the launch of DCP yesterday?
Thank you, Ayub, for this opportunity once again. I think the more things change, the more they remain the same. Yesterday was a very sad day in our political discourse, where the Wamunyoro impeachee served the country with a playwright and a game which, to the young people, it was a disaster. In fact, for the young people with me today in the panel, I didn't see the face of the young people in the DCP, the Democratic Citizens People Party, as they call it. In fact, I was shocked that yesterday, even the people who I thought maybe will be the shapers of the new party were not even mentioned. I even wondered what was even happening yesterday. In fact, I want to challenge the young people of this country that we need to take up our space. Yesterday, you saw the old faces like my commander coming up and taking up positions. I didn't see the face of the young people. Yesterday, I thought it was going to change our political discourse, but we were promised even. But what I saw yesterday, Wamunyoro Impichi delivered L. In fact, to me, I don't see any change. In 2022, the sitting president, His Excellency, faced a formidable candidate who was the former prime minister, who was actually being backed by a sitting president and a very organized team, which was called Azimio. In 2027, the current president is going to face a very disorganized team, which are being led by local political parties, which are, for a lack of a better word, tribal. And to me, it is going to be a walkover. And I want to tell these people, it is high time they smell the coffee and organize themselves in a proper manner. Because I have had people here, and I am saddened today that my sister here has turned to be a DCI officer, telling us how yesterday's political party launch was attacked by goons. We were told by the Interior Minister yesterday that police were not even informed. These are the normal political theatrics, as my panelist Sawe could call it, that these are the same people who know how to organize things in a way that it looks so bad on government. And for the sake of the young people, we need to be genuine and we need to be realistic enough. If we are to forge forward as the young people, we need to take our position. In the new political formations, for example, let me take a classical example of UDA party. If you see the party and its structure and formations, you could see and you could tell that the young people are well represented. Tell me, for example, the DCP party, which was launched yesterday. Who are the young voices in the UDA party? I challenge you to visit our offices in Ngong Road and see what is happening in the party. Okay. Because I'm sure you must know 1, 2, or 3. Of course, I know. My colleagues. Are you one among the party? Kipto is a young man serving in the executive position of the party, and the former Secretary General Cleophas Malala, who happens to be the deputy party leader, and I don't know why most of the position actually were acting. It tells you the disorganization in the party, because if you saw everything was acting, it means they were not even prepared to launch that party, and for me, there is really nothing new. Okay. We'll talk about the question of ethno-majoritarianism, and given how we form coalitions in Kenya, by extension what you had mentioned. But Turunga, yes. What's then the view from the coastal part, you coming from Lamu County, with regards to the representation of young voices within the political parties?
First and foremost, the youth make 70% of the population. So I challenge all our political parties to focus on bringing the youth on board. Because if, as a third world country, there's no way we can focus on the future if we don't include the youth. And I doubt what they're focusing on if they're not including the youth in their next committees. Also, my brother here, Elijah, mentioned that we shouldn't talk about the one term. Actually, we won't talk about the one term. We'll actually actualize this, because this government, nothing seems to be working. The systems are not working. For example, I'll give you an example of President Ibrahim Traore. When he came to power, he was at the age of 35. The first 3 months, he cleared the debt that his country was facing. At the moment, as we speak, in 2 years, he has built 56 level 6 hospitals. What does that tell you? Our president has been in power for 3 years, nothing to show. What they focus on opposition. They forget about service delivery, which is their main purpose. And that's why we must ensure that come 2027, we'll take them home, because they have nothing to show. They have nothing to look forward to. They have been in campaign mode since the first year they were elected. But Turunga, Burkina Faso is more or less a dictatorship. Kenya is not a military state, and President Ruto is subject to accountability. And in some of his actions, he must be checked upon. Then how then, in terms of in comparison, with regards to service delivery that you have mentioned, can then juxtapose two very different jurisdictions? Okay, my point was, I was trying to compare. This person has been in power for just 3 months, and he cleared the debt that the country was facing. I was not comparing maybe the militarism and this other democracy. But then you cannot, if I compare Ibrahim Traore and Ruto, this is a young man. He has changed the country compared to this president who has been in power since the 90s, and he has nothing to show. Even though he's a military, but then he's taking the country in the right direction. He's bringing change. But I don't encourage militarism.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, when we get back from the break in the 1 hour ahead, we'll further expound on some of your submissions here on the broadcast. The hashtag on X is Citizen Daybreak. The SMS code is 22422 at Citizen TV Kenya and at Ayub Abdikadir. We are back with more after the break here on the broadcast. Stay tuned.